What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today I want to talk about the break and retest and how I use it for futures trading. You guys know, if you're a follower of this channel, I talk about the NASDAQ, I talk about the S&P a lot, right? I look at these futures contracts to make decisions on my options trades. So I figured, why not try to start trading futures? Why not try to get my feet wet in trying to trade the futures contracts? And I've applied that same break and retest strategy into the futures world. And in today's video, I have a great example of two break and retests to the upside on some NASDAQ contracts that I traded today. Made about $2,000 on these futures contracts, and I want to break down those trades and show you the break and retest and just how clean these were today on the futures side, on the NASDAQ futures, and how this break and retest shows up all over the place, not just individual stocks, not just for options, but you can apply this to futures trading as well. I know there are tons of future trading strategies. There's a lot of things to focus on, but in today's video, I just want to talk about that break and that retest. All right, guys, so here on the screen, we are looking at the NASDAQ futures on the 1-minute chart, and I've started to use the 1-minute chart. I also incorporate the 2000 tick chart. If you guys are familiar with futures, I'm sure you're familiar with that, but I typically watch it on the 1-minute chart. This is sort of where I'm most comfortable as a trader, where I look for these retests and sort of understand the price action the best. Obviously, every trader is a little bit different. For me, I really like this 1-minute chart, something that I've really become accustomed to over the years of trading. So coming into the day, I was targeting this 11,130 level on the NASDAQ, right? I knew this was a demand level on the NASDAQ. If we go out to the hourly chart and we look at the 11,130 level, we saw that we were opening right up in this demand. So we had previous supply here around 11,130. On Monday of this week, we couldn't get over it, right? We pushed up yesterday. We came back down to it. We held it very strong. And this morning, we were opening up at that demand once again at 11,130. So I came into the day looking at it and saying, okay, let's see if that demand holds once again. And if it does, can I find some break and retest to the upside to trade this NASDAQ to the upside? So if I go to the 1-minute chart and we go to this morning, you can see that this morning, we started the morning with a little bit of choppiness, right? We got sort of choppy here in the morning, but eventually we found our upside off that demand at 11,130. Now, the first trade that I was looking for was a break of this previous high and a retest of it. And you guys can see right here that we went ahead and we broke that previous high. And after we broke that previous high, we came back down to it, right? We didn't get the breakout, but we went ahead and waited for that retest on that move. So we got higher, we moved lower, and this right here is the first break and retest that I went ahead and I took a position on. We'll go ahead and review these trades in TradeZella after the fact. I'll go ahead and pop it up on the screen. But right now, let's just go ahead and go over these entries and really talk about where these retests were showing up today. So right there, that was my first entry. Right here on this retest, I was looking for the NASDAQ to break this previous high right in this general area, come back down to it, retest it, create that higher low, and then try to look for the upside. Now, the reason I was looking for upside here was not only the break and retest, but also understanding that we had demand below. Knowing that the market was holding this demand, knowing that it was starting to push off of it, I was a little bit more biased to the upside, knowing that that demand held for about an hour into the day, and we started to get that push higher. So we got that push, we got that retest. That was the first entry for me, and I was scaling out into that move. Now, the next entry that I took, this was right here. We were calling this out in the chat as well. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it if you are listening to the voice chat. We were looking, we got that push, right? If we didn't catch this original break and retest, our next entry would be on the next retest of the previous high, right? So I'm always targeting where's the previous high, and if we break that previous high, can we come back down to it and turn it into support, right? That is the whole psychology around this type of trading strategy. Where's the previous high? Does it break that previous high? If it does, don't chase it, but wait for that to come back down and hold, right? So you guys can see right here, we had a previous high around, this was the early morning high around 936. We went ahead and we broke it right here on this big push, and look at the 2-minute pullback and look where it held, right? Right here, you guys can see we pushed higher, we came back down, we held that previous high, and we got a nice push off that, creating a pretty nice little flag right here and creating a pretty nice little flag right here. So two Break and retest, flag formation breakouts, very nice clean trades this morning on the NASDAQ. The first one, right, a nice break here, pull back to that previous high, held that demand, get in long here off that retest and get that upside push. Now that you have pushed higher, let's say you missed this original move, let's say you don't want to chase this move, but you want to see where my next entry is. Next entry, wait for the pullback to the previous high, right here, pull back to that high, get long off that retest and look for that upside on that move. Now, where are my stops on these trades, right? My stops are if we start to slip under these retest levels. So if the NASDAQ was going to start to slip under this 11,210, let's say it slipped to around 11,205, 11,200, I would have to take my stop and take my loss on this trade. Same thing for this applies down on this test. If we start to slip that retest level, then we have to make sure that we're aware of that it's not holding the retest, and we have to make sure our stops are tight. Of course, this is not a totally in-depth futures trading video. I wanted to share the two trades that I did make today on the futures trading. You guys are probably seeing this video one day late. I'm creating this video on Wednesday. It will be released on Thursday, the 20th. So I took these trades on the 19th, the Wednesday, October 19th. I'm going to go ahead and release them tomorrow. So you guys can see a very nice retest here, break and retest on the NASDAQ. Pretty much everything applies the same as what I talk about in all the rest of my videos about break and retest. It applies to futures. It applies to options trading. It's a technical formation that you will find across all different price action and across all different charts. And how you take advantage of it is up to you. You can take advantage of it through options. You can take advantage of it through futures. There's a lot to learn in the futures world. It's not maybe as easy as it looks just from watching this video, but I wanted to share with you how I trade futures and what I look for when I start to get interested in some futures trades. So with that said, now let's go ahead and pull up TradeZella and sort of review the statistics of these trades. So guys, here is TradeZella. Here is my trade that I took today on October 19th. You're going to be seeing this tomorrow, so it will be a day behind, but here is where I went ahead and got into these positions. So $2,100, I took a total of 3 contracts. At one time, I was in 2 contracts. I got out of one and then scaled back into 2. So a total of 3 contracts total, but I only had 2 at one time, right? So my largest size at a single time was 2 contracts on the NQ. I got about $2,100 on this position, and here is where I went ahead and got into these trades. So my first entry was at the bottom of this candle here at around 10.08. Now, I was in a little bit of drawdown, and you can see that down on the bottom right. I was in a little bit of drawdown to start this trade. The reason I held on to this was if we do some charting here right on TradeZella, I was sort of eyeing this entire retest zone, right? So you can see these previous wick highs, and we came back down into it here. So I was willing to give the trade a little bit of space. I got a little bit too early on the entry. I waited for the pullback. I waited for the retest, but it did slip a little bit, against me on this trade. I held on because I knew this retest was here, and I had confidence that it would try to hold that level after holding that demand, which we went ahead and we talked about earlier, that demand that was down here at 11,130, this whole area down here, right? So we got that retest. I went ahead and scaled out of my first one here. I went ahead and repurchased, right? This was the second trade that we talked about. This was the second retest of these previous highs, right? In this area, we were talking about the previous highs. We were talking about if we can break that previous high, retest it, look to go long. This is where I went ahead and entered my next trade, went long here. At this time, I had 2 contracts, scaled out of one, and this is sort of where that running P&L sort of increased. So down here, guys, you can see my entries and exits. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. It might be a little bit small for you here. Zooming in on this, you guys can see if I scroll down, you can see right here. Here was my first ad at 10.08, 2 contracts. I got out of one, I scaled back into the second, and I got out of one, and I got out of the next. So this was my trade on TradeZella. You guys can see it right here. Entry here. I went ahead and waited for that retest right here. Waited, gave this thing a little bit of space, waited for it to retest that level, got out on this push, retested the next level, and sort of scaled out into that push once again. So guys, it is the next day. It is October 20th, and I want to include this clip in today's video because I took another break and retest trade on the S&P 500, and I wanted to break it down and show you another example in today's video on this trade. So let's go ahead and jump into that. So guys, all of the concepts apply once again here. Everything we talked about previously in this video from my trades yesterday and today, I did the exact same thing, break and retest, same strategy, just replicate replicated once again. Here is the S&P 500. Once again, the S&P 500 pushes out of that 3,700 level. That demand down below, we saw this yesterday as well. You guys can see nice push out of the gates. The demand was very strong. Missed this upside. Could have taken a few more retests. Even this retest right here was pretty solid on the S&P 500. You guys can see around this 37.10. We had a break, we had a retest, and a nice long entry there. Didn't catch that one. One that I did catch was right here. You guys can see we had a previous high here in the pre-market of around this 37.30 level. We pushed above it. We pulled back to it. And right here, you can see a perfect break and retest, a very nice long off this level. The market is live right now. I'm recording this. It's around 11 a.m. Eastern time. And we can see that as of right now, this retest is still holding. So there is still potentially long entries here off this 37.30 as we sort of watch this live. We'll see how this works out. But right now, that looks like a pretty decent long entry. Potentially a little flag breakout here off this break and retest. 37.30, break, retest. Very nice long entry that I took here. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull up TradeZella so we can review the statistics of this break and retest trade on the futures contracts. So guys, here is my trade on the ES. Here is TradeZella where we can break down this trade. You guys can see I went ahead and got in on that retest. If we draw these lines out right on TradeZella, you can see I was watching this previous high, right? So watching this previous high back here from pre-market, we broke it, we came back down to it, we retested that level, I went long, and I got that very nice push to the upside and sold into that push. I took 4 contracts on the ES. You can see my stop loss was under that 37.30 retest level, risking about $800. My original profit target was up to the 37.50. I did scale out on that wick around 37.48. So my initial target was about a $3,200 win. I got out about 2 ticks off of that. So really good risk reward on this trade. 4 risk to reward. Realized was about 1.25. So if we go down to my entries, you can see I was never in drawdown on this position, which was very nice. We'll go down. You guys can see that I went ahead and I bought 2 right here at 10.16 at 37.33, added into that at 37.35, and then scaled out at 37.40 for a nice $1,000 win here. Break and retest once again. I went ahead and I put the setup there on TradeZella. You guys can see it right there. That is the statistics of this trade. So guys, I wanted to make this video because I have been asked quite a bit about what I look for when it comes to futures trading within the Discord, within some of my social media, and I wanted to make this video to explain to you about the break and retest and how I really look for the same exact thing that I do for my options trades on the futures contracts and how this can apply to futures trading as well. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, the 2 break and retest on the NASDAQ today. If you guys have any questions on this, make sure to post them down below. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.